What's going on, guys? CTG Matt back. Read the title. Today we're talking about some NBA trades, specifically what teams should, shouldn't, need, and don't need to really make a trade anytime soon this season. Don't forget to like, subscribe if you enjoy the video. We will go over our tiers now. We have should make a trade, maybe around the edges, window shopping, embrace the tank, and nothing matters. Like I said, like, subscribe if you enjoy the video. We're jumping right into it with the Atlanta Hawks. I'm going to put them in window shopping. They've already made a bunch of trades in the offseason, and they've played really decent basketball recently, specifically without Trae Young. I don't think there's a real need to make a trade right now. However, what I do think they should look at, this is going to sound crazy, maybe some Trae Young packages. In their last 10, they've played some pretty decent basketball. Like I said, all without Trae Young, really. It should be interesting to see when he comes back. The only reason they're in window shopping is, again, because they did have some limited success without Trae Young. I'm not saying they're a better team without him, but I do think that there's a chance that, hey, if this doesn't work out, we might not want to build around Trae Young long term, especially if they're worse when he comes back. That would be worst case scenario for Trae Young, especially because they start off the season pretty bad. Now they're like 11-7. It's a respectable record, but I think they should look around, but I don't think they necessarily need to make one this year, this season, because there's just no need to. They did a bunch of moves this offseason. Let it settle, let it simmer, see what you got, and then readjust in the offseason. For the Boston Celtics, I'm going to put maybe around the edges. I've been very negative about this rendition of my Boston Celtics. I'll fully admit that. I've been relatively negative around them. And it's mainly because they don't have an ideal roster right now. There's one big man. That's it. Neemias Queta. Sorry. So the only reason they're in around the edges is because I think that there's another like if there's a backup center available, a quality backup big man, you should try and land him. I know you're not playing for the championship to be this year. You're probably not making the finals this year. But what I will say is that next year's still in the cards. You know, when Jason Tatum gets back, he's healthy. Having a second big man is going to be imperative. And if you can do it this season, find a guy who's extended, long-term, and can play backup or even start over Queta in some certain lineups, I wouldn't mind it, and I think that's the right thing to do. They've been playing pretty decent ball recently, too. Like, I think they've won, like, 4 of their last 5. Of course, they dropped one to Brooklyn, but they dropped one to Brooklyn because they don't have center play either, really. I don't know. I think that center play is a really big determining factor of how far the Celtics team can go right now, and honestly, I think Neemias Queta is a very good player, but right now, Luka Garza is a bad big man. So that's just kind of where you're at. I like this rendition of the Celtics because they're 500. Balance, you know. But the thing that could push them over 500 is pushing for a backup big man. If you can land a backup big, maybe they go get a Gafford, something like that. That would make a big difference for next season when Tatum is healthy. Then you have another rim defender, another lob threat. It would just help out a ton. If they could find a backup big man this season. If you find one in the offseason, you do, but if you can find one this year, why not? Brooklyn Nets, nothing matters. They've looked good recently, though. They played some alright ball recently. They're interesting to watch because it's MPJ running around screens, getting up as many shots as he wants, with Cam Thomas being out, too. Yegor Jomin. Jomin? I don't know how to pronounce his last name yet. Yegor. He's looked good in some spurts recently, and I really like Tyrese Martin. He's had a couple of big games recently, but unfortunately, 3-14. We knew this was a bad team. They've played like a bad team. Nothing really matters. Charlotte Hornets. We'll do maybe around the edges. They're bad. 4-13 is a bad record, but you watch them, and it's like they can't be this bad. There's talent. There's I don't know what more they really need, per se, because, like, I see guard and I see, okay, LaMelo, Sion James, that's really solid. You go to the 2, Brandon Miller's back, Con Kneppel's played very well, Colin Sexton's there. At the wing spot, Miles Bridges, he's not perfect, but he's good at basketball. I'm talking about off the court, of course, but even the big man spot, I really like Moussa Diabate, I really like Ryan Kalkbrenner. I think there's some around the edges trades they can do, but otherwise than that, like, I could put them in embrace the tank, but dude, you watch them play, they're a much more competitive team than their record would indicate. They're just a really weird team to gauge. This is another confusing basketball team. I'm going to put the Bulls in window shopping, I guess. Maybe I put them in embrace the tank. I don't know. I think Vooch should be gone. He's played very well, and if a team will take him, I would give him away for 3 second-round picks. That, you know what I mean? 2 second-round picks. He's all yours. There's some young guys here that are really interesting. Of course, Giddey's having his career year. Kobe White's come back and played well. But Ayo might be gone. I'm going to put them in Embrace the Tank because they might trade Ayo. They might trade Vooch. I really like Jalen Smith, though. I've watched him play, but they got blown out by the Pelicans last night. So that's definitely not a great look going into this video. I'm going to put them in Embrace the Tank, even though they're 500. They're just not a very special team. 500, and we all expected 500. Cavs need some work around the edges. I really don't know what they can do anymore because it feels like they've maximized this roster, and Evan Mobley's not progressing. He's not getting better. I wouldn't say he's getting worse, but he's certainly not getting better. He put up a fine game. Suddenly he can't shoot free throws. What the hell's that about? I thought Evan Mobley was like a 70%er last year. Now he can't buy one. He was 0-4 at the line the other night, and he can't shoot free throws. What the fuck? Where did that come from? From a guy who makes mid-range shots, too. It's really odd. Evan Mobley's been the biggest disappointment for me this season. Pretty damn close to it. And I'm just not sure what they can really do anymore. They've played unspectacular basketball. They got run off the floor by Toronto last night. I just don't know what more they can do. They've done their around the edges trades. Lonzo Ball, DeAndre Hunter, even Jalen Tyson's played relatively all right. But, I don't know what more they can do without Darius Garland. Maybe they're a window shopping team. I'd say window shopping's closer. I think that's where they're going to end up. Either way, I don't think they're going to make any moves because they've kind of pushed their pieces they pushed their chips to the middle already. They've gone all in. What more is there besides sell now? And if that's the case, we're looking at Garland, Allen maybe. Dallas should make a trade, multiple. In the words of Seth Rollins, well, it's not Seth Rollins. In the words of Seth Rollins' intro music, burn it down to the ground. Actually, AD, there's no trade market. I'm pretty sure Wendy said that yesterday. Nobody's lining up to find Anthony Davis. That's tough already. But there's so many complimentary guys that they could trade. PJ Washington, I'm sure, has value to somebody. Gafford, I'm sure, has value to somebody. There's a couple other guys. Brandon Williams, if you want to trade him. Najee Marshall's on a really good contract. Someone would love Najee Marshall. A competitive team would love Najee Marshall. But they just need to make trades. Start selling now. Clear it all out. Let Coop run it the rest of the year like he has already. But realistically, I don't think there's a reason to really keep this many bloated contracts on the roster for a team that is currently sitting at a nice, crisp record of 5-14. Just sell the pieces that you have to competitive teams that are going to want to win now and move on about your business. Rebuild with Cooper Flagg. Get your picks. Get the picks up and really help rebuild around him. But there's no point in holding on to these older, veteran contributors. I don't know who's going to want Klay Thompson. I would throw him around, though. I would just start moving pieces. I think that they're very underwhelming. Of course, they have been this year. Obviously, they're not healthy either. But I think they're so stubborn that they're going to be like, you know what? Once Kyrie gets back, everything's going to change. Nothing's really going to change. Still going to be bad. But I don't know. I think they should start moving some of the complementary pieces while they still have value. Denver's going in nothing matters, but for a positive reason. They don't need to make a trade. Right now, they're being ravaged by the injury bug. And the Kings' loss sucks. Don't get me wrong. But in that game, the most important part wasn't even the loss. It was the loss of Aaron Gordon. That was the biggest. Christian Brown's still out. They brought in a bunch of depth, and they've played really well. Still, they're not a perfect team, but I think there's other things that they're worried about that's not that. Denver just needs to get healthy, plain and simple. P. Watt's played good ball. A couple of the young guys, P. Watt has stepped up in the absence of Aaron Gordon, but otherwise I don't think there's anything that they really need to do at this point in time. They've maximized everything they can this offseason. Now it's just about performing on the court, and they've played relatively well aside from the Kings loss. That was a really bad loss, but otherwise it's they've played fine. They're not perfect, but there's no really other moves they can do. Detroit, nothing matters. Stop. You know what? Window shop. Window shop, I wouldn't buy. Lauri Markkanen's not necessary. Don't do that. Don't hollow out Ron Holland and Jaden Ivey for Lauri Markkanen. And that's not a dig at Lauri Markkanen, but I just don't think it's worth it right now. Currently, they're sitting at a crisp 15-2. There's no need to make a trade. Look around, browse all you want, but there's no need to buy anything. You just don't need to right now. Played great ball with Dennis Jenkins at the helm. Bick is making a real run for Coach of the Year. I'm happy for him. I'm happy for this entire roster and the city of Detroit. You finally get to see some good damn ball. Just don't blow up the young core for Lauri Markkanen. There's just no point. If there's a star that becomes available, now we're talking a little bit differently. But you have 2 all-stars already, so there's no real need to rush into it. I like the fit of Lauri Markkanen in Detroit. I just don't think it's necessary at the moment. Warriors may be around the edges, and the only way you could do it is moving like a Podziemski, Moody, maybe. I understand that that's not popular, but at the moment, Jonathan Kuminga, you don't know when he's coming back because Steve Kerr doesn't even know when he's coming back. So that's kind of ugly. They've played some very middling basketball recently. They're playing rather just unspectacular basketball. Sometimes it feels unenthused basketball. I think I have an issue with Jimmy Butler still not shooting the ball. Really annoying. And I just don't know what that's about. I really don't. There's no takeover for Jimmy Butler. When was the last time he scored 40 in a regular season game? You know what? I'm sure I could find it. The last time Jimmy Butler had 40 in a game, this can't be right. This is StatMuse. Last time Jimmy Butler had 40 in a game was the 2023 Conference Finals. Are you shitting me? Or the first round? My bad. The first round of the playoffs? That's ridiculous. Plain and simple, that's ridiculous. And look at all these in the playoffs, but he's a playoff performer, I get that. But at the same time, bro, you have to still show up for the regular season. And he just seems like he's not going to again. I'm just not a fan of this Jimmy Butler not shooting nonsense. I think the Warriors need to make more moves because right now, 500 ball isn't even going to make the playoffs, dude. Currently, they're sitting at the 8th seed. You're hovering with Portland. You're better than Portland, at least supposed to be. Come on. I don't know what they trade for. Maybe a big man. A big man might really help, but I don't know if there's really... Again, they're kind of in the Celtics boat where it's like you could use a big, but where do you get it from? I don't know. I think the Warriors are just stuck playing 500 ball, and I don't know if there's another move they're going to make, which is definitely a little bit weird. They're hoping for a second half surge, which is kind of what I thought too, was like, yeah, they're a bad team right now, but come February, you're going to see them flip a switch. You better pray for it because right now it is not pretty what we are watching. Houston, nothing matters. You could just sit on it. You're doing fine right now. They've played really good ball. They only really lost to Jokic. Like, that's not a bad thing. You know, they still have a very complete team. Reed Shepherd has shown a couple of really great games and flashes every other game, it feels like. He's not perfect, don't get me wrong, but I don't know. I think that there's not many moves that the Houston Rockets can really do right now, unless they really want to attach some big contracts, say, attach Finney Smith to Reed Shepherd, and maybe you go get a point guard like that, but I don't think the market's really there for them to go get one, like, unless they go for, like, Ja Morant, but that doesn't feel necessary. Pacers, embrace the tank, man. It's over. This team is terrible. I'm going to be honest, Pacers fans. I don't actively watch your games that often anymore. I can't. They're bad. They're bad. They're hard to watch. They get blown out very often. It's just a bad year for them. Of course, it was supposed to be a gap year regardless. You know, a year lost essentially because of the Halliburton injury. But they've been so ravaged by injuries. Obi Toppin, Aaron Nesmith, Benedict Mathurin, Andrew Nembhard. All these guys have missed time due to injury. And of course, you still have never had Halliburton this season because of the Achilles. Nothing matters this year. Just keep losing. Keep doing your job and losing games, guys. You're doing fine. Clippers should make a trade. I'm not sure, though. I'm really not sure, though. Because right now, you can't say tank. Tanking for them is pointless. They don't have their pick this year. There's no reason for them to bottom out. So why would they? They wouldn't, is the correct rationalization there. They just won't bottom out because there's no reason for them to. Do they double down? That's the only thing that's difficult. This team is very bad and hard to watch. They have one ball handler, and his name's James Harden. That's it. Everyone outside of that is a catch-and-shoot player. That's about it. Derrick Jones Jr. is injured, of course. But like Chris Dunn, I don't want him controlling that. I don't want him running that helm. Kawhi came back. He bumped knees with John Collins, and now I don't even know what's going on with that. Is he hurt? Is he going to miss time again? Because if he misses more time, you might as well mark the season over. James Harden may miss the playoffs for the first time in his career. Thank you, Clippers, for that one. Yeah, that's really fucking sick. Thanks, guys. I don't know. The Clippers need to make moves. I just don't know what because they're still just unspectacular. And they don't have their own pick, so there's no point in tanking. It's just they're a hard team to watch right now, and they need to do something about it, but I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the DeRozan deal. Maybe. I don't know. The Lakers need some around-the-edges moves. Backup center. That's huge. Jackson Hayes has played relatively well, but I don't trust Jackson Hayes long term, and he has moments where he's not playing well. I think the Lakers need to make a move for backup center. That's literally it. That's it. That's all they really need to do. Otherwise than that, I think they're solid. If they want a backup wing, go ahead, because Dalton Connect's bad. But otherwise than that, it's really just backup 5. That's about it. Memphis, embrace the tank, buddy. Their season's already toasted. But you have Cedric Coward, who's been fun. V-Dub, Vince Williams is my guy. I like watching Vince Williams. He's a real hustle player. Crash the glass hard. But otherwise than that, it's like there's not many reasons to watch this team right now. They're very hard watch, but Grizzlies fans, I really don't know what to tell you. Zach Edey's back. Maybe that'll make a big change, but I don't see change coming this year. I don't know if Ja Morant's even coming this year, playing this year. I don't know, but there's nothing they can really do. Just keep losing, and maybe they luck into a top pick. The lottery system's crazy nowadays, dude. Having the 8th worst record in basketball might end up being a good thing for some teams. I want to get some bad out of the way. The Wizards, again, I don't like putting these teams together, but in all reality, the trade deadline doesn't matter to any of these teams. It doesn't. What are the Wizards going to do? Move Chris Middleton? Who the hell wants Chris Middleton? I don't think anybody, right? Who are the Nets going to move? Day'Ron Sharpe? Maybe. Someone will die for a backup 5-man nowadays. Some teams will. But otherwise, it's like I don't like putting them in the same category because it makes it look a little bit weird. But realistically, they're all in the same boat where the trade deadline just doesn't matter for them right now. Same with for the Pelicans, nothing matters because tanking doesn't even work this year. You don't have your own pick. Just keep letting the young guys rock. Derek Queen, Jeremiah Fears, just keep letting them go. Let them, struggle. Let them strive and let them find middle ground in this league somewhere. See what you have. Because nothing really matters. The team's real bad. I don't think anything. I mean, maybe they make some trades to get rid of some contracts, but like who? Who wants Sadiq Bey? Who? I don't know. Is Kevon Looney getting calls, getting interest? Maybe, but I don't know. For the Pelicans, they're kind of in the same boat as like the Wizards or the Nets, where it's like this doesn't matter. Trade deadline for them is nothing. The Thunder going in nothing matters because they're just going to be a finals contender. That's just the end of the story. They might break the all-time wins record. Go watch my video yesterday. I talked about it in depth more in that video. Who else we got here that could go down there? Can anybody else go into nothing matters? The Kings could, but I think I'm going to put them in should make a trade because they got to move some people around here. They've won back-to-back games, so maybe the season's back on. I thought it was real interesting yesterday, though, against Minnesota. They looked pretty good with Zach LaVine not on the floor. Just making a call right there. I know he wasn't playing great. He was like 1 for 13 or whatever, but it was definitely really interesting to pull a guy making $46 million and be like, yeah, you're sitting, buddy. Multiple times throughout the game, Mark Jones referenced is it Scott Perry's comments? Is that their GM? Where he said he wants volunteers, not hostages. Unfortunately, Scott, I'd say a majority of your team is hostages. Ship Malik Monk to a team that needs a backup guard play. I don't know. Just ship Malik Monk to a competitive team, please. Get DeMar DeRozan away. Just make the moves necessary. Make this an easier tankathon and just sell out to the bottom. They've won back-to-back games, so season's back on, though. So I guess we'll see long-term when they win the finals. The Bucks embrace the tank. It's over. Giannis is hurt, and I understand that. But I don't know. Should I put them in around the edges? I could, but what's around the edges for them? What is it? Giannis is hurt right now, and they look like an incomplete team because Giannis is hurt. What do I do about their over-reliance on one player? I don't know if there's a co-star out there. Are they a DeRozan team? Probably not. Ryan Rollins is taking a step up this year, but in that same respect, it's like not enough. Ryan Rollins isn't carrying them to wins. He's been really good, but even without Giannis, he can't carry the load like that. They're very reliant on Giannis, and in the time he's missed, they've looked actually pitiful. I'd like to see them with extended run with Giannis, but at this point, I just don't think they're gonna sell. I don't think they're gonna, which I'm not a fan of. I think they should sell. Maybe not Giannis directly, but this team together I don't get it. It doesn't make sense. I don't think anyone expected them to be really good. Still talking about the Bucks. I don't think anyone really expected them to be good, but I don't know. They've been below mid, and they're hard to watch. Maybe I just don't think they're going to sell. John Horst seems like he is headstrong about making this team a contender. He's a mule, stubborn as a mule, as they say. And he's just going to keep trying. Even if he's trying to get the square peg into the triangular hole, he's going to keep mashing the thing in there, see if it works or not. Miami can window shop. I don't think they need anything, though. Why is it all East teams in window shop? I don't know. But the Heat have played really good ball recently. Who did they beat yesterday? I forget who. They played a pretty complete game yesterday. Kel'el Ware, once again, had like a 20-rebound game. He's been so good recently. That's all I really want to say is shout out to Kel'el Ware. He has played very good ball recently. He's looked really good. He's leading the league in rebounding over the last 15 days. Obscure stat, but oh well, it is what it is. Minnesota should make a trade. Almost needs to make a trade, I would say. Down the stretch of that game against the Kings yesterday, they did the same thing every possession. Here's the ball, and do what you got to do. And I guess living and dying by your best player is not a bad way to go out. But it gets kind of ugly. Their last shot that they got of the game was Anthony Edwards. He took a step back, picked up his dribble. There was a jump closeout that went past him. It might have been like Malik Monk or something. And he tried to take this step-through floater from 20 feet out. And it was a mean fucking brick. It wasn't a step-through, first off. That shit was a travel. Not even close. I will die on that wall. That was a fucking travel. You're not allowed to jump off your pivot foot onto the other, even if it's just a step-through move. I hate that wasn't a travel, but they go to overtime, and it's just bad turnover after bad turnover. Julius Randle throws it to Precious Achiuwa to ice the game away. Julius Randle threw one away to Russell Westbrook, I think, too. Russ threw a bad turnover. The Wolves got it back, and immediately threw it right back to Russ. I don't know. It shows every time I watch them that they just don't have a guard. They don't have consistent guard play. And that's what they really need is consistent guard play. When they're moving well, when the team is playing well, the ball is popping around the arc. Inside of 2 minutes, it suddenly becomes, let's walk the ball up the floor, and then Anthony Edwards pound for 15 seconds, and then a step back or a tough shot. Doesn't always work. I don't know. I don't like the Timber. They might be the worst clutch team in the NBA. I'd have to look at clutch stats, but they might be the worst clutch time team in basketball. Not even close. Very hard watch right now. They need to do something. The Knicks can window shop. Again, it's still just Eastern Conference teams window shopping. The Knicks are without OG Anunoby right now, so that's kind of tough. But they've played all right. I mean, they beat the Nets yesterday, which not really an impressive win, but they won. And it's, it was Ariel Hukporti got some run yesterday, and he looked okay, Yabusele had some moments where he looked okay. I saw a guy arguing with me on Twitter that, he was like, yeah, they told me Yabusele was a clear better player than Precious Achiuwa. Achiuwa's way better. And it's like, you're just arguing ass versus shit. They're both terrible. You're not winning with either one right now. But the Knicks window shopping makes sense. Mitchell Robinson misses a ton of time. He has through his whole career. And OG Anunoby's out right now, so maybe they look around and see what they can find. Orlando may be around the edges. They made their move. They traded a bunch of first-round picks for Desmond Bane. So what moves do you have? They lost a game to the Celtics the other day, and Jett Howard in the fourth quarter was just going off. He finished with 30 and 15 or 20 in just the fourth quarter. It was pretty impressive. But without Paolo, they've looked like a more complete team, a better team right now. And Anthony Black's taking a leap. I like Anthony Black a lot, dude. I think they should believe in him more. But of course, they have so much talent on the roster. It's always hard to integrate and to get one guy more touches when you have so many good players on that team. But overall, the Magic have looked pretty all right this season. I think there's some more moves they can make around the edges. Maybe another wing, I guess. I don't know. De Silva's real good, but maybe they add another wing guard. I don't know. They don't really need big. Carter, Batadze, and Wagner's coming back soon. I don't know. Orlando's in a good spot, though, is all I know. I know Orlando fans might not like it because they're kind of mid record-wise, but I think they're in an all right spot. They've played relatively good ball recently. 7-3 in their last 10. That's not bad. Philadelphia, I don't think anything matters. They have everything they need. Paul George is back. Embiid's coming back soon. Maxey is obviously hooping. Maxey's been the best player on their team. Maybe the best guard in the East this season. Him and Cade are really up there fighting for it. But overall, I don't think they really have moves to make. Paul George's contract is bloated as fuck. Tyrese Maxey's contract is very bloated, even though he deserves every cent. Embiid is on a big deal. I don't know what big deals there really are. And they have good backup center play for when Embiid misses time. Drummond and Bona have filled in pretty well. And then the guard play is still good. Maxey, Grimes, Edgecombe. It's solid everywhere, it seems. When Paul George is healthy, Paul George, Oubre, Edgecombe as a wing duo still. I just think they can't do anything. They're kind of strapped. So just keep trooping. I guess they're 9-7. It's not great, but I don't know. I think that when they're fully healthy, they're still a force. It's just, will they be fully healthy? I don't know. Now, this is a hard team to gauge in Phoenix, because I thought they should have been here before the season, but they've played good ball recently, like really good ball. Colin Gillespie, Dylan Brooks, Grayson Allen has had a 40 ball this year, I think. Like, there's been some good contributors on this team that I didn't expect. I thought they'd be here. I think I got to put them here. They're just kind of hooping for the fun of it, This is a team that's playing fun basketball. And it's really weird because currently you're dealing with Matt Ishbia getting sued. I don't know if you guys have been paying attention to that. He's got 8 lawsuits on the table that he's dealing with right now. And they're playing good ball. Apparently, there was a lawsuit that alleged that Matt Ishbia, since he bought the Suns, they've only lost value. And, obviously, Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal, Devin Booker experience turned a lot of people away from Phoenix basketball. But right now, they're building a good culture team, it feels like. And although they're not great, they're playing for nothing. They got all their chips on the table. They're playing with house money at this point. They have nothing to lose, and Jalen Green hasn't really even played this year. So just keep going, I guess. I don't know. I thought they'd be tanking. This is really the shock of the season, is the fact that Phoenix has been so, at least, good. Portland's in a really tough spot. This will be the first Western Conference team in window shopping because I don't know what they do. They gave out extensions this offseason. Who got extensions? Tumani got an extension, and Shaden got an extension. Denny's paid. What else do you do? Drew Holiday's still on the books getting paid. What else do you do? There's just nothing more for Portland to do this year besides just sit back and kind of see the results. The thing is, they aren't great. They aren't really that good. Maybe around the edges, I guess I could put them, but I don't know what the around the edges moves are. You've extended 2 core guys in Shade and Kamara. Denny's getting paid. What more do you do? You just have to wait for the injuries, I guess, because injuries have been kind of ripping them apart. Caleb Love is getting shots up for them, a lot of shots for them. I don't know. This is a really weird team, and it's not what I expected. Their defense has been very subpar, at least from what I've watched. I don't like to see what their defense has done. They could easily be a top 5 defense, and they just haven't been. The Spurs are going in nothing matters because Victor Wembanyama is there. What do you want me to say? They're not going to hollow out the young guys. That'd be stupid if they traded Castle or Harper. That'd be dumb. Vassell is on an extension. Maybe they trade Keldon. Cool. That'd be an around the edges thing. But I don't know. Black Falcon Harrison Barnes has been that guy. De'Aaron Fox has been really good too. What more do they need to do? I don't think there's really much more that the Spurs need to do to be a good team. They just kind of have to wait for Wemby to get back and piece it together then. Toronto. Nothing matters. This team is what I thought they were going to be before the season. Thank God they bought in defensively because they were atrocious the first 2 weeks defensively. They were bad. Since then, they've locked in. This is a top 5 defense in the league that I've been watching. Scotty Barnes might not win Defensive Player of the Year, but he should get votes if he stays healthy, of course. Brandon Ingram is playing his best offensive basketball I've seen in a minute. I called for Emmanuel Quickley's noggin 2 weeks ago. Now I'm Quickley's kind of playing good right now. I'm a Jamal Shed guy. I've always been a Jamal Shed guy. Shout out to the Cougs, right? But maybe a backup center. But even lineups with Mamu at center, Sandro Mamukelashvili, and he's putting up good plus minuses. Those numbers that he's playing center are some of their best. Their best lineups are with Sandro at center. I don't know. They played excellent defensively. They're hard to score on. And they're making me proud because this is what I expected at the beginning of the season. This is really what I expected. Scotty Barnes should get DPOY votes. I don't care. Argue with the goddamn wall if you disagree. That leaves Utah, who should make a trade. I don't know. I don't know who's going to buy Lowry, but he shouldn't be on the roster anymore. The guy's too good. Ace Bailey's played really well. I don't mind with the direction of their team. I actually think they're on a pretty good path right now. It feels like Keontae, Collier, Sensabaugh, Hendricks, Bailey are all getting run. That's the right thing. Those are all young guys. Where's Cody Williams? I don't know. But that was a bad pick already. I'm like, where is he? I don't know. The Jazz should just move on from some of their guys, though. I don't know, like Yusuf Nurkic. Maybe the team wants Yusuf Nurkic, backup center. The Lakers? Bucks? I don't know. That Bucks don't need him. Who needs a backup 5-man? The Warriors, go get Nurk. I don't know. It's just Lowry marketing camping on this roster is so weird. And they're never really committed to tanking because they have Lowry Markkanen, who's an all-star caliber talent. I don't know. He's top 5 in scoring. I think top 10 at least in scoring right now. He's played really good ball, but I don't think anyone's going to want him right now is the tough part. I don't know. Utah should make a trade, but at the end of the day, finding a trade partner for Lowry Markkanen might be one of the more difficult tasks of the trade deadline. Comment down below if you agree, disagree, anything. Thank you guys for joining me. I'm going to go catch a game. See you guys in the next one. Don't forget to subscribe, please.